Welcome to the Rustic Garden Homestead. Today I'm going to show you how to plant bunching onions. We're going to plant them into kind of a raised bed, more of a frame bed, 5-inch sides, about 15 centimeters. I already have some onions in there. I'm going to show you how to build the raised bed, prep the soil, put the onions in, and then we'll go to a couple beds that I already have the onions growing in. I'll show you what the root systems look like. We'll talk about fertilizing. Behind me you can see some of the straw. That is a Ruth Stout inspired potato bed. If you want to check that video out in the video description. We are outside my main garden. Deer don't eat onions, garlic, and leeks. So they're perfect to plant outside the garden. You know, save yourself some space. This way you're not growing it protected. They can just sit out anywhere really on your property. I keep saying bunching onions through the video, so I just wanted to be clear. Onion bunches, a bunch of onions, and your own seed starts, your own transplants. And at the end of the video, this is what we're going to create. Those are my onion seed starts over there, my transplants, and these are the onion bunches. This is a raised bed I repurposed from inside my garden, just dropped it out here. Again, the deer are going to leave it alone. These are bunching onions. You get like a cluster of 50 of them tied together. They cost you about $6. These have been planted in this space for about 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to come back, show you the root systems of some different onions I already planted, talk about feeding them. We're going to build the boxes right over here. I've already built them. And we're also going to take a trip to Home Depot, and I'll show you where I bought this wood, talk about a couple of tips to get them cut for you and when you're selecting the wood. 3 feet wide, 6 feet long. I'll put the metric conversion in the video description. And they're just screwed together with 1.5-inch screws, and we're just drilling in 3 holes. You want to pre-drill this. If you try and just put a screw right into here, the wood is going to split. It's really thin. Nothing fancy here. And it's, you know, I call these frame beds because the sides aren't that high. I am just going to take a weed whacker, cut the grass down, level this a little bit, put cardboard down, and then we're going to fill this with topsoil, peat moss mix, fertilize it, get it set up. It's perfect for planting onions this way. The roots will go through the cardboard, no worries. You don't have to spend a lot of money to prep the soil. Just get the boxes in where you want them, go ahead and plant. One thing I want to show you, I think it's on this side. Let me take a look. My shadow is going to drop in here. If your board splits like mine did when I threw the board down, you just want to put in 4 screws, just to make sure you're putting 2 screws above where the crack is. That will secure it. These boards tend to warp. They're thin, they're not expensive. They're $5, maybe $6, a 6-foot board. And again, I want to stress, if you don't pre-drill the hole before you put the screw in, it's going to split, so make sure you do that. But these boxes are perfect, sitting right outside my property, or right outside my garden. Deer hang out in the woods. They walk right through here all the time. They're going to leave the onions alone. Go into any of your big box stores. These are 6-foot pieces of lumber, about 6 inches wide. That's 15 centimeters. And when you're buying the boards, just look for a couple of things. Make sure there's no cracks in them. You just don't want to buy split boards. And then just look down the side like this. Get one that's mostly straight. If you see a big curve, skip that board. There's no need to really use it. These boards are a little bit thinner, easy to cut, but you can just go to Home Depot. Also, find this section, ask somebody to help you, and they'll cut the wood for you at no cost. I have to do a voiceover here because evidently I shot this in super slow motion. So just take a weed eater, cut the grass down. You can remove it if you want, but you don't really need to, because once we put the cardboard down, that is going to stop the grass from really coming through. Notice the gap in the upper left corner. That means the bed's not level, so you're going to have to dig it a little bit, level it off the best you can. I don't go for perfection when I'm doing that. And this is really the quickest way to really prep these beds. Couple quick words with topsoil. I'm using a high quality topsoil that's actually earth. I'll show you a little bit about what I'm talking about in the future part of this video. But check the topsoil bags that you buy. They are often filled with just shredded hardwood. They're not quality. They're not really good for this project. If you accidentally bought them or used them, I will talk about how to fix that. But you really want quality topsoil. To fill this bed, I'm using that, again, quality bag of topsoil and peat moss. You could use your own earth and some peat moss. Organic fertilizer will be thrown into this. You know, you can put in your own compost. It doesn't have to be super fancy. You just need 6-inch sides, about 15 centimeters. That's perfect for the onion transplants. And if you notice that rock, That's going to be a bonus. I'll build something with that. But to get started, growing onions outside your garden, this works perfectly well. Just did a quick leveling, digging the trenches where I needed to, and it looks pretty good. This bed looks good. This one slopes and it sinks more down in the left corner. Maybe I'll stick a stone under there or something like that. But this is good enough for my purposes. Everything will look good tucked right into the space. Now it's time for the cardboard. So again, these are about 3 feet by 6 feet. This is a medium packing box from Home Depot, some that I had left over. So a medium box almost fills in the whole space. Along here, I'll put some more cardboard like I started down there. One level of cardboard's fine. You could do 2 if you want. Just get it down and then we'll get to filling the bed. Just real quick, in case you don't want to watch the video that's linked, this is all topsoil, and this is just full of shredded hardwood. Not the best stuff. It's actually not topsoil. I mean, there's a little bit in there, but it's mostly shredded wood. The shredded wood's going to take from your plants for the first year until it decomposes, maybe even, the first 2 years. It's going to take nitrogen to break down. We can get around that by putting in extra water-soluble nitrogen, and we're going to do that. One of the beds that I showed you earlier had a lot of this stuff in it. But it's worth it shopping around your area. Every area is different. This is really nice topsoil. This is what I'm going to be using to fill the beds. This topsoil, $2.99 a bag, 40 pounds, and some peat moss is going to be perfect for growing those onions. What I have in here right now is 4 bags of the 40-pound Shenandoah topsoil, the better quality stuff. Now, the cheap topsoil with all that shredded hardwood, I could throw a bag in here now, just like 1 bag mixed through here isn't a big problem. It's when you fill this whole bed with that problematic topsoil that you could have issues. And then I have some peat moss mixed in there. The next step, any organic granular fertilizer, and you're gonna really heavily put it down. Like I wanna just show you how much I'm putting down. And I'm just gonna go down the whole row and put the organic granular in like that. Mix this up nicely, see how the level looks, and then we'll get to planting. The whole key for onions doing this method is really the water-soluble fertilizer. One thing I didn't show you was I'd like to throw down a couple handfuls of the organic granular on the cardboard. You could wet the cardboard down first if you want. I'm gonna just do it at the end after all the soil's in there. The nitrogen in the organic granular will help decay the cardboard because the bacteria will like that. It helps them multiply, do their thing. And that will just break this down, a little bit more quickly by having some of the NP and K just sitting down there for the microbes to use. I don't normally like having my shadow in the video, but the sun's setting and it's just where the bed is. So it looks pretty good. Quality topsoil, peat moss, great planting base. Now the topsoil that's filled with that shredded hardwood, if you mix that through the soil in that top 4 inches, 10 centimeters, that's when it causes a problem. I'm gonna use it as a mulch, so I'm gonna lay down a bag of that because I gotta use it, I bought it. Across the top, it's gonna act as a mulch, it's gonna help keep moisture in there. That's what you really want for your onion transplants at this point. They're gonna need a lot of water, so I do recommend, I'll go over watering, but I recommend watering every other day for a good 10 days, 14 days. That's what the plants need to establish the roots. So that shredded wood topsoil, that garbage stuff, is just gonna go on top. And when I plant the onion, it's gonna go below that and the roots are gonna grow into something, really nice. Those are all the stones. That's a bonus that I dug out of this space and I'll be able to use them for some sort of use, decoration or something in my garden. I just have to show this off again. This is just terrible. This is not topsoil. It's all that shredded hardwood coming out of the bagged topsoil. Again, this is gonna be a great mulch. I'm just gonna move it across there. In case you've used this already in your garden, and you've seen when you put in transplants, they get stunted, they don't grow. The key is just soaking this with a water-soluble fertilizer. That's linked in the video, below this video, talking about, garbage bag soil. But anytime you have excess shredded wood in your mixes, and it could be topsoil, it could be garden soil, it could be potting mix, companies are using shredded wood as a filler more and more, every year it seems like. The fix for it really is just soaking in a water-soluble fertilizer into this woody garbage. Just wanted to cut in real quick. We're also going to plant my onion seed starts. These have been overseeded in this foil tray, maybe 2 inches, 5 centimeters deep. And I seeded these about 8 or 9 weeks ago, and they've been growing indoors. My greenhouse is really crowded now because we had a frost last night. But after about 9 weeks of growth, these are ready to go right into the garden beds that I'm going to be preparing in in a minute. The beauty of this is that it only costs about $2 for a pack of seeds, and you get all these onion starts. And the roots are really strong. So when I pull these out, I don't want to do it now because I'll tear them, but when I fluff these out, it's going to be nice long roots ready to go right into the garden bed. These are my onion starts. They're beautiful, about 9 weeks old. Been acclimated outdoors for a good 7 days. Any plants grown inside, they have to get used to the UV rays of the sun or they're going to get damaged. Sometimes people trim these down and then they plant them, and that will make them look more like the onion bunches we're going to do on the other half of this bed. You don't really need to do that. It's going to get beat up. It's going to die. All you're trying to do is get the roots established over the next 10, 14 days, and then these plants will take off. They'll grow all new greenery. But what I like to do really is, doing this one-handed, grab a chunk. The roots are going to be nice and long. They break up nicely. And this is a beautiful onion transplant. I mean, look at that. And we're going to plant it to about where my finger is, press the soil in around it, water it in, and just let this do its thing. The reason that you would cut it, and with this group, it has, full roots. So the roots, once they're starting to bring in water and nutrients, can support the greenery, but a lot of people like to cut these down by like 50% or something, or a third. It gives less leaves for the roots to worry about, helps them kind of establish in theory, but I found it really doesn't matter, whatever way you want to do it. And then we'll just, do a pencil hole, or a hole about the size, well, that's not of a pencil, more like a cigar, but a nice deep hole. And the reason you do that is you want the roots to go straight down, something like that. And then I'm just going to pinch around it, pull it up a little bit, press it in, and that's all you want to do. The plant will stand up eventually when it's strong enough. Roots are nice and deep. They're going to start collecting water, and I will go through and do that for all these plants. My onion transplants are all in. Spacing 2 to 4 inches, 5 to 10 centimeters. 3-4 inches if you're growing larger onions. I tend to plant things more closely together. I'm not going to let all these get to full size. I'll be eating and using them throughout the season, so it really depends on how you want to use them. But 2 inches to 4 inches, 5 to 10 centimeters, they're all in, and I think that they look great. These are the bunching onions that you can buy at the store. I like to wrap them in paper towels, dampen it really well, maybe put a little bit of water in there. These don't need to soak in water, but I like to keep the tips of the onions moist. And you can see the roots are really dried out, but these are going to send out all brand new roots. The ones that are really white are viable, and by giving them a little bit of moisture, that kind of gets them going. The process is exactly the same. And notice how they cut the tops off of here, because there's no need for this greenery to really survive. All you're wanting, and here's a good example, is for the roots to come out. And you can see a little one starting right at my fingertip. Planting is not really much different. We'll do this one, and I'm just putting it in about that far, pressing over. If it had more green to it, it'd be going to right about here, whatever that is, 2 inches, well, it's not 4 inches, but 2 to 3 inches for me, and something like that, and just press around it. And you want to press these in, and then I would just go all the way down. Keep that, we'll label stuff later. Since there's no roots, you don't really need to worry about them being pushed all the way down. You're just really taking this and just pushing it in and pinching around it. Grab it, distance you want, push it in, press around it, push it in, press around it. And I will set up all my onions just like that. Next, you really want to water the onions in. So the beauty about starting your own onions like I did here is that these are Walla Walla onions. And you can pick different varieties, you can grow different varieties. When you're buying the bunches, and usually you get them at big box stores or even nurseries, they just say white onion, yellow onion, red onion. So you're not, exactly sure what variety you're getting. However, both of them work. So at this point, we're just going to really soak them in. And I want to stress again, you want to water these every other day, if not every 3 days, but really soak it in. The cardboard's in there. I didn't soak it down first. So I'm going to put a lot of water on there. I just want to show you how much is being put on there. For some reason, people fear that too much water is going to kill off their plants. We tend to underwater our gardens, you know. They need water to transport nutrients and stuff like that. So I'm soaking these in really well. And we're going to keep going for a couple more minutes just to show you how much water we put on here. If you have a container that drains, you know, these are basically, you know, frame beds that drain into the earth. There's not going to be an issue with overwatering. The onions here are the bunched onions that you buy 50 per, you know, bundle. They don't have any roots. So these onions you definitely need to keep moist. The whole goal for these, before they start growing anything, is to establish roots. So as soon as I'm done here, we'll go over to some onions I already planted. I want to show you the root development and give you some of the time frame. At this point, you don't really have to water these in with the water-soluble fertilizer. Any one that you want to use is fine. If you're using the chemical types, they usually have like 24% nitrogen. Cut that down to half. You don't need that much nitrogen, even to a third. Fish emulsion works. I'm associated with AgroThrive or affiliated with AgroThrive. You can find them in my video description. They are a great water-soluble organic fertilizer. And again, water every other day, every 3 days. Just soak everything in. The onions will do really well because a deer will leave them alone. They've got plenty of space. They will grow roots into the cardboard and into the earth below if they need to. You don't have to worry about any of that. All right, so these are nice and soaked. And again, I'm going to say it one more time. Every other day, every 3 days at most, water them in. The onions in this place are the bunching onions. You can see new growth is coming. They're 10 to 14 days old. You can see more of the spacing, again, 2 to 4 inches, whatever you want to do. But after that 2-week period, I want to pull one of these up and just show you. And you can tell when the roots are formed because you can't pull them out. But let me get all the way down there. That's the root system that is started. And that means this onion is good to go, beautiful root system. And about 10, 14 days from, you know, transplanting them, that's when I would really hit them with the water-soluble fertilizer. If you want to give them some now, that's fine. But they don't really need it until they have the roots to bring in the nutrients. And you can see again, all the new growth is coming up. And these are, I don't know, 10 to 14 days old. I have trouble keeping track of time nowadays, but they look wonderful. And please subscribe and follow me. I'll teach you how to plant a garden, save some money, have some fun. But more importantly, I will show you how I'm taking care of these plants and I'll show you how they grow over the season. And if you want to check out my series, previously called Garden Ramblings, but now I'm just calling it the Rustic Garden Homestead Show. I'm going to be doing that about twice a month, maybe a little bit more during high production times. But I will be going through and visiting all the plants that you've seen in videos, showing you how they're doing and just kind of showing off the garden, giving out different tips. I will link the first episode in the video description. 14 days, your onion bunches are going to look something like that. All right, let's finish up with giving them the water-soluble fertilizer. And I just want to show you how much to give them. Not a whole lot. You know, 2 weeks in or something like that from planting, give them their first drink. If you want to give them some earlier, like at planting, that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to do this, you know, every 3 to 4 weeks as they grow. And that's it with the water-soluble for this group. These are all my beds that are outside the main garden. A lot of garlic. I don't have any leeks in yet. I'm going to try and grow some leeks. Onions all do really well. Perfect place to grow them. Thanks so much for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therusticgarden.com. No need to overfeed these either. Just a quick drink of the water-soluble. And please subscribe. I'll show you how these onions do over the season. And I'll also teach you how to grow food, do it the easier way, so to speak, save some money, and have a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.